podcast.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the invitation.
You're very welcome. Just so everybody knows, this is Brandon Raley, engineer, outdoor enthusiast. And if you'd like to check out his YouTube channel, it's Go Play Outside. But the tag, is it?
They call it a handle.
Handle is at Go Play Outside 47. That'll take you directly to his channel. Other than that, how's it going, sir?
It's going good, man.
Before we hit start, we were just talking about hunting, friends, life.
Yep. Hunting's something I didn't know you were into.
Hunting is something that I've recently gotten into because of the lockdowns, like I was telling you. I realized that for my meat and the things I need to survive, even the vegetables, like I need to start a garden in my backyard. But I rely on the grocery store too much. And during the lockdowns, man, it all disappeared so quickly.
Yep.
So I called my buddy. I was like, hey, teach me how to hunt. And he gave me his bow. And I set up a thing in my backyard. And I've been shooting for the past year or so. So for the next hunting season, I can hopefully go get me a deer or elk. Didn't you just come back from an elk hunt like within the past 6 months?
I did go on an elk hunt. That was roughly September, October.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quote me.
Wasn't your shoulder hurting at the time? And I think you were thinking about not going.
That's right.
But your doctor told you not to miss this opportunity.
That's right. It's a good memory, dude. Yeah. I thought for sure. I've hurt myself so many times not listening to my doctors.
Mm-hmm.
I decided whatever this guy says, I'm going to follow. And I went in there and told him, hey, man, my shoulder's killing me. He sends me to a bunch of specialists and MRIs. We get tests done. We're waiting for results. I said, I got a hunting trip next week. He goes, oh, you can't miss that. I was like, well, you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say, stay home, let it rest. He's like, no, you got to go on that. So, yeah, I was pretty excited when he said that. It caught me way off guard. But it was good for my mental health, right? Because I was expecting to have to get used to just doing nothing for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But
instead, you went out with your buddies to Colorado for an elk hunt?
Yeah. And that was rough, dude. That was rough.
What do you mean? Like up and down mountains carrying a rucksack, like rough?
Yeah. So
this was actual hunting, like going into the wilderness.
So shout out to my buddy Troy. This guy knows his stuff, and he brought one of his buddies, and we go out there. And so first off, I thought my boots were waterproof, and it rains while we're there, and I'm just soaked feet. My boots are not waterproof, so I'm miserable. I'm more out of shape than I realize. I'm sucking wind, twisted my knee, and what I thought of hunting was what we were going to do the last time we went elk hunting, a year prior or 2 years prior.
Which is what? You stayed in a nice little cabin?
Well, we hiked in 8 miles, set up camp, and then hunted from that location for 4 days, and then came back to the truck.
Okay.
That's what I was expecting this time. This time we set up camp 8 miles into the woods, and then broke camp the next morning and moved, and then broke camp the next morning and moved, and then broke camp the next morning. And I was like, oh my God.
So was each time deeper and deeper into the wilderness? Is that what you're saying?
Sometimes we were deeper. Sometimes we were just moving laterally. But the fact was you had to break down your tent, put it in your bag, start hiking. I hate breaking camp. Once it's set up, I want to be there for 2 or 3 days. And we broke it and reset it 3 or 4 days in a row. So, and my feet were wet and my knee was twisted.
And
I was
you had
tired.
A hurt shoulder.
Yeah. So I was probably complaining a little too much, or at least I was in my head. And so it turned out to be really, really rough. And it taught me something I was going to tell you. Go live in the wilderness.
I know what you're talking about, but I've never really gotten into it. I'm afraid I'll get into it too much.
Yeah. So I love those things. I watch them all the time. And everyone's always wanting to get a big game. Elk, moose, bear, something. I don't think that's the way you're going to survive. I think what I've learned from that show is, and what I've learned from my own hunting experiences, I've deer hunted 15 days, never shot a deer. I've elk hunted 8 days, never shot an elk. I have got a squirrel. You know, you could get a rabbit. The goal of survival is going to be more trapping than hunting. Hunting is extremely hard. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing I've been learning the past couple of years. I've started hunting, and I'm trying to enjoy just being with the guys. First day you go out, you're like, I'm killing an elk. After day 8, 9, whatever, okay, probably not killing an elk today. Let's enjoy breaking camp, eating dehydrated food, you know, having wet feet. That's hunting. That's what I've learned.
Yeah. What do you take as your dehydrated food? Like, I recently came across this guy on YouTube. I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he was making this thing that they've made for centuries. Apparently, it's like dehydrated meat, berries, all kinds of things, and he cuts it down into this bar that's about like that, and it has like 10,000 calories in it.
Pemmican.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Pemmican.
That looked really cool.
Yeah. I've wanted to try that, but I know my dehydrated prepackaged Mountain House meals
Mm-hmm.
taste probably way better than that stuff does. And they're less effort, right? You just throw it in your cart, throw it in your backpack.
Yeah.
So I haven't got that far with it yet.
Yeah.
But someday
it actually looked really good.
it does. I don't know. I don't know what it tastes like. I don't know. My brain doesn't know what to do with pemmican. I just know if I had
This
to survive,
particular
I'd wanna
guy
have it.
used a lot of seasonings in his. Like
Okay.
he seasoned it up. He's been doing it for years. He knows how to make it.
Oh, is it
You know
like
what I mean?
Steve Ranella or something?
It wasn't Steve Ranella. I know who that guy is. That's the meat eater guy, right?
Yep. He's
Yeah.
good at cooking.
Yes, I'm sure he is. He's been doing it his whole life. This was just some dude who lives in a cabin out in the woods, man. I couldn't tell you his name.
Yeah,
for
it's
the life of me.
hardcore, dude.
I just came across it one day. It came across, and I was like, I'm gonna watch this real quick. You never know, you know.
The more I learn about survival and the outdoors and hunting, the more I store food because I don't want to have to go acquire it or eat some of the stuff people eat to survive.
Yeah.
It'd be rough, dude. It'd be rough.
Gus, that's enough. Gus is, I don't know what he's growling at most of the time. Come on. Same. Yeah.
So anyway, sorry for the rabbit trail about hunting, but
you're all right. I'm getting into it, and that's the type of hunting that I really want to do eventually is the actual go out into the wilderness, pack out there, do your hunting, and pack it back. Like,
Yep.
I understand that it's hard, but I think at the end of it, when you have that meat in your freezer, it will, one, sustain you for almost a year. If you get a good size elk or any good size anything, it'll sustain you for quite some time as far as your meat goes, you know. And just, I don't know, I've heard hunters talk about it and talk about how much they love the feeling of eating meat that they have actually killed and provided for their family, and that feeling that gives them as a provider.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know how it is for most hunters. I'm not excited about killing. And from what I understand, the hunters I've talked to, like, they don't necessarily enjoy taking a life. But the thing that I've come to realize is something's already getting killed if I got to eat, right? I'm just letting somebody else do the dirty work. So
Absolutely.
I want to do the dirty work now. And I've also had game that my friends have taken, and what I've heard people say, oh, it's better than store bought. You'll taste a difference. I didn't really think that would be true. I've noticed a difference that when my friends give me.
Sam, Camel, come on. And it fucked up.
Oh, did it cut us off?
This is what it did.
Huh.
This is what it did. Like, this is the issue I think I'm having with. See what I mean? We were only 2.5 minutes in, and it stopped.
Coming back online. So what it did when I watched it on YouTube, did you watch it on YouTube?
I didn't. I don't like watching myself. That's why.
Okay. So like when you had issues like this, all of a sudden there'd just be a gap and then it would just pick up whenever it turned back on again.
Yeah.
So we can just pick up wherever we left off and people won't even notice.
And sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, this online software can suck balls at sometimes.
So do you know what we were talking about when it cut out? Was it right when you stopped?
Well, I know it's at 3 minutes, so we were talking about hunting.
Okay.
So who knows where we were at? Uh,
So I think I know where we were when it cut off, and all I was going to say was I've heard hunters say that the meat tastes better, but I just always thought that was them trying to hype up hunting or
mhm.
justify hunting. I recently tried some meat my friends have had taken. It is better.
Well, that's what like one of the things that I've heard about from hunters um, is that that's how meat is supposed to taste. Meat is not supposed to be super fatty and gristly like it comes from um, factory farming. Because at that point, at the factory farming point, they're bulking up their animals to get as much profit as possible.
Right.
What you get in the wilderness is an animal that is very athletic, for one, and it eats berries, drinks water, and stays away from predators.
Yep.
you know like it lives a natural life as opposed to the factory farming animals that you come across.
Yep. Yep. The deer that my buddy gave me recently was actually really lean. Some people will process in some fat with it, but I enjoyed it just as lean as it was. I thought it tasted phenomenal, just the way nature made it, you know?
That's what the deer that I've gotten from my buddy Ted over the years. I think it's phenomenal. My wife doesn't much like it, but
Yeah.
she likes a good cow fillet from Texas Roadhouse,
Yep.
which is delicious. Don't get me wrong, absolutely delicious. But
Yep.
I do like a good deer steak. It's good.
Well, good luck to you on your hunting journey to acquire a deer steak, man. I
That's
hopefully you're more successful than I've been. It's been a trip.
um So, do you know who Cameron Haynes is
Yeah.
by any chance?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so I follow Cameron Haynes just simply from his exercise standpoint. I love his running. He's an ultra marathon runner. He's done those things, and that's what I want to do eventually. But I follow him on that. But his training regiment for hunting, like that's why he does all the running and the lifting that he does, is so it makes him a more proficient hunter,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I've heard him talk about he gets an animal every time he goes hunting, but he is absolutely conditioned for that. Like he chases the ant, stalks them down, chases them through the mountains. You know how hard it is to climb a fucking mountain?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. When you're carrying 40, 50 pounds on your back for 4 or 5 days, yeah, it's rough. And you got your bow and your arrows, and yeah,
I went,
it's a and you're at 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 feet, and you're not in Oklahoma anymore, right?
yeah.
It's not a
There's not mountains here. You have to drive down to the Wichita Mountains to get anything. I went to he put on a run with mountain ops in Eugene, Oregon, up the Mount Pisgah, which is the mountain that he runs every single day, up and down it. And it was a 10K, which is 6 miles, just in case you're too American. Um, it was fucking hard.
yeah.
So it was 6 miles around this mountain that he runs every single day. He carries a rock to the top of it. He is ridiculously in shape. It took me an hour and 14 minutes to run 6 miles, man.
That's really good.
But yeah, I mean, halfway through was the crest of the mountain, up and down. It was
That's really
hard.
good.
It was hard, but that's why he's so um, good at hunting, is because he does those things.
Yeah, before I got invited to go elk hunting, I would have thought that guy had a problem. Like he's just excessive over the top. And now I realize that's exactly what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's hunting public land or private land, but like in our case, we'll do public land. So you drive as far as you can drive and then you park and then all the hunters start walking because you're trying to get as far away from people as possible. But all the hunters are parking at the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
So then you got to out hike all the hunters who are trying to out hike all the hunters. And if you're doing it on public land, you dang sure got to be in shape.
Yeah, because you have to go really far, don't you?
Yeah, and the elk, man, they see you and hear you and smell you way before you see or hear or smell them.
That's
It's incredible.
There's a good
They're
question.
always another mountain ridge over from where you're at.
How do you not smell like a man from the city when you go hunting in the
You
wild?
you can't. They will smell you. If you, it doesn't matter. It's all about wind direction. So If the wind is blowing from you to them, it doesn't matter what you do.
Well, I mean, if you're upwind of the elk, yeah, I understand. But like, is there any kind of like bathing technique that you can wash some of the scent off you so you smell more natural?
There's some products like no scent and things you can spray on you to kill the scent. Some people say it works for deer hunting.
Uh huh.
I've seen some signs that may be true, and it certainly can't hurt. But from what I gather about elk hunting,
There's nothing you can do.
bro, there's no way. There's no way. If the wind shifts, you can watch videos of it. The guys will be 100, 150 yards away, right where they want to be, waiting for the elk to turn broadside with a rifle. It's tough to hunt them with a rifle, much less a bow. And all of a sudden, you'll say, "Oh, the wind just shifted," and the elk will put its nose up in the air as soon as the guy says the wind just shifted, and the whole herd is gone. It's
There's a predator around.
it's incredible. Go. And I'm talking the wind just shifts 150 yards away, they're gone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're more adapted to survival than we are for sure.
Well, that's what from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep, like they're avoiding predators.
Dude, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's another thing that entices me about hunting is the natural beauty of it. Not to mention the animals, just the scenery alone.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the things I love about running is I can go anywhere in this city and take a photo of where I'm running and people think I'm in the fucking wilderness, And I'm not. I'm just at a park down the street. But just the things you see, the smells of the world outside, like people don't get out enough. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Just the beauty of the world.
I saw a quote the other day. It said, I follow some outdoor groups, and one of the quotes said something like, "A lot of people think I'm playing outside because I'm running from my problems. Actually, I'm running back to where I belong. I'm more in tune with what's going on than people who think going out and hiking all the time is me running from my problems." And they worded it way better than that, but I totally relate with that. Every time I go elk hunting, every time I go even to the park in the middle of the city, you get back in tune with nature. Everything, the anxiety goes away, the stress goes away, peace comes back, clarity comes back. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. And you said something else that was, what'd you say? Oh, so like drinking from a stream when you're in Colorado, you don't pack in a gallon of water. You drink wherever you can get water. Water tastes different. It tastes better, right?
Well, because that's water coming from snow-capped mountains that are melting, that are draining and providing water to like the Colorado River, for say, and whatnot. Like
it's cold, it's clean. You still filter it, but
of course
it's delicious.
It still has bacteria in it.
Yeah, it can. And I remember in one of the first or second outside video I ever made, go play outside video, was elk hunting trip from 2 or 3 years ago. It's not a great video, so I'm not saying you need to go watch it, but I remember on our first or second day when we were trying to find camp, I think our first day, if these huge plants we were walking through, I kept waiting for a dinosaur to pop out because this place everything there was just so huge, so green, so untouched. And you think you know what the outdoors are, and then you go elk hunting some nowhere place in Colorado
where there's no trails.
Yeah, and you see some landscape and you see some plants and some trees, stuff you've never seen before. And
beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, if you get bored, you can go watch that video, but you get the idea. It's the whole experience. And then you're not upset that you don't get an elk because you get all these other things from it, right?
That's why I want to do. It's not why, but one of the reasons I want to do a 100-mile race.
Dude, you're insane.
I know. Everybody tells me. Everybody fucking tells me.
When I was younger, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
How old are you now?
I'm 41.
Okay.
And I want to do it by the end of the summer. I'll turn 42 in March. The peak of my training, I'll be running at least 15 miles a day.
That's incredible.
I go down to Mount Scott down by Lawton, and I'll carry anywhere from 30 to 50-pound log on my shoulder up to the top and back down, just to get my muscles used to going up and down hills. I'll carry it here down the street, because I saw this dude one time. He's like, if you want to become really strong, carry heavy shit.
True.
And that is absolutely true.
True.
Like, if you just want to become strong, carry heavy things. And when you carry a log on your shoulder, on one shoulder, and you switch it back and forth, like specifically from my house to 39th Street and back is 1 mile.
Okay.
So I'll carry a log that 1 mile and switch shoulders throughout it. And I'll usually do 60 squats and 40 lunges. I'll do 10 of either one when I switch log sides, switch shoulder size. And after I carry the log and then go on a run, I'm so much lighter
Yeah.
because I just got done carrying an additional 40 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And carrying it up and down mountain will just train my legs for that. Because in a 100-mile race, there's bound to be elevation, up and down, up
Right.
and down. Most of the ones that I've looked into, most of the time they take place in mountainous areas or really extreme conditions.
Right.
Just doing 100 miles by itself is an extreme condition. Like, it's hard.
Sure.
It's hard enough to run a marathon, and that's only 26.2 miles.
Only. Yeah.
I talk about it like everybody does it. I know. Not everybody's as crazy as I am.
So what do you got your eyes on? What are your 100-mile races? Is there one specific you want to go do? Do you have it narrowed down to a couple, or are you still weeding through everything?
I don't have a specific race that I want to do, but hang on, let me finish my thought about
Okay.
the why.
Okay.
Ever since I quit booze, drugs, all those things, I've had this weird itch in the back of my head to prove to myself that not only am I capable, but that I'm also worthy of all the things I want, dreams, goals, aspirations, and most of all, just to make my life better, because not only do I deserve it, but my wife deserves it. She deserves the best me that I can be. And my family does, Like, I'm not going to achieve any of the shit that I want to achieve sitting there having a fucking drink when I get off work and then going to bed. Like, I I like to say the real work happens outside of the time clock. Time clock just pays my bills.
Right.
When I wake up in the morning before I go to work, the things that I do, for example, an ice bath, a cold plunge, which we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Doing something hard every day makes everyday work life easy. So easy. Like, I mean, I
Agree.
wait tables to make money. And that is one of the easiest things you can do. You literally give people what they ask for and make sure their drinks stay full.
Right.
That is your job.
Yeah.
And people have issues with it. Like, I work with people right now that are not good at serving, and it is not hard. And if they would just put a little effort into their everyday lives and not worry so much about their work, they'd be so much better off.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
But that's one of the reasons why I want to do, like, for example, the 100-mile race, is to just, one, do something that I'm not sure if I can do, and two, the feeling of completing that, knowing that I put in all this work to get to that finish line,
Yeah.
is amazing. The first time I did a race was I did a Spartan Beast race when I turned 40. And when I was there, I was having a conversation with somebody and telling them it was my birthday. And they asked why I was doing it. I was like, because I have some weird sense that I have to prove to myself that I can still do it,
Right.
And people are like, I kind of respect that. At least you're honest, Get out of there, princess. But a Spartan Beast race, if you don't know what it is, that particular race is a half marathon with 33 obstacles in it.
Yeah, I've seen those.
I believe it took me over 5 hours to complete. But, at the finish line, I just had this overwhelming sense of, man, I don't even know how to put it into words. I cried for a minute.
Kind of euphoric.
It was very euphoric, but it was just one of those, like, you're worth it moments. Like, you do something and that reiterates in your head that you're on the right path. Does that make sense?
It does, and I don't have the words to
Like I
explain it
said, it's
either, but I know
very
what you're
hard to
saying.
explain.
I know what you're saying.
And I visualize that moment in my 100-mile race. Like I'll be out running, I'll be doing 8 miles or something, and I'll just be thinking about that crossing the finish line of the 100, and it'll bring tears to my eyes. Just that euphoric moment. It's amazing. Like I don't know how to explain it or put it into words.
Yeah, I don't either. If I had to take a stab at it real quick, though, I think we all have some sort of doubt. I mean, we have some. We all want to be great. We want to be a part of something great. We have belief in our. We want to be something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like that's never fully realized. You know all the things that you haven't been doing to make that happen. And so now here's your chance to do something the way that you think you should be doing life. It's kind of like a miniature version of the way you think you should be doing life. And you did it all in that marathon or that beast race or whatever it was called.
It's called Beast Race. You're right.
Yeah, the beast race. And so then there's like a moment in your life where you're like, all the doubts, all the setbacks, all the disappointment, all the things that I think about myself that are that don't feel good. It's like you rectified all of that
Mm-hmm.
so in some sort of a way. I always have two competing thoughts in my head. One of them is I used to wrestle with being worthy. You mentioned the word worthy, and I told my best friend at the time, I said, "Man, I just don't know. I've been wrestling my whole life with trying to be worthy." And he said the most profound thing to me at the time. He goes, "Oh, that's because you're not worthy." And that wrecked me because I realized I've been trying to fight or prove something that I wasn't worthy of at that time. Like God's forgiveness was something I was looking for. And he's like, yeah, you're not worthy. That's why Jesus came. And I was very into that whole mindset back then. And that made a lot of sense to me. But there's also this other competing idea I have. My uncle told me a couple of years ago that broke me. He goes, um, Brandon, you deserve to be happy. And I was like, that broke me because nobody had ever told me that before. And I think when you do a race like that, you have those two things coming together where it's like, or at least for me, I'm not worthy of, you know, I'm not, I don't even deserve to be here. How'd I get here? Right. I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
there's some aspects of life I'm not worthy. This is a blessing. I didn't do anything to deserve it. And then another aspect, at the same time, you deserve to be happy. And it's like those two things kind of come together when you go do it. All that makes sense.
That's what the most important thing that I've found in this time is the belief in myself.
Yeah.
That is the biggest change that I've made since I was 37 was when I quit everything. Late July, 37. So that's almost 4 years now. July will be 4 years. But that's the biggest thing that has changed is I found the belief in myself and think that's what makes me feel worth it. That gives me the drive and to chase the discipline that I need.
Yeah.
To do anything whatsoever, whether it be a better husband, a better me, better runner, better hunter, something, the
Yeah.
belief in yourself that you can do it. Because there's so many times where, I mean, when I do stand-up comedy, somebody asked me one time why I do it, and I was like, because it scares me. Every time before I get on stage, I am afraid. I feel like the biggest fake in a way. It's the best way to describe it. That all this time I've spent writing, all this time that I've spent on stage, uh, all that was fake. And as soon as I go up there, everybody in that crowd is going to realize it, and it's just, those are the nerves that I have right before. So I came up with little things to get a laugh, because as soon as I get a laugh, that all goes away.
Oh yeah.
As soon as I get a laugh, like I used to start my sets out with, hey, I'm going to make this real quick because I got to pee. I feel like R. Kelly standing in front of a 13-year-old,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it would always get a little giggle, because everybody knows R. Kelly and his issues that he has with whatever. You know,
Right,
it'd
right,
get a little giggle, and then all that would go away. All that negative thought would go away, and I would just be in the moment, and I would do these things. So I don't know. Got me almost wanting to cry right now.
Man, you covered a lot of good stuff there.
I may cry. I just want you to know that.
uh, yeah, do it, man.
But yeah,
Happens to me more. I think it happens to guys more than people realize.
absolutely. We just
Crying,
don't. Well, we
and it feels
we
weird
do it
because you don't
alone.
know it's so common.
We do it alone.
Yeah,
We do it where no one can see us because it makes us feel vulnerable. You know,
yeah. It feels
like
weird. It just feels weird to me, but it also feels therapeutic.
that's what I'm
It's
saying.
like I
Like
need to cry right now because of whatever happened.
whenever I do get to a point where I do need to cry, or I have cried afterwards, there's always this sense of relief on into whatever subject it may be. I mean, take death for an example.
Right.
When a loved one dies and you grieve them and you cry, you let it out. You let out that emotion that you have, you know?
Yep.
And too much in our society, especially now, is I don't want to say everybody wants to see men more vulnerable, but they want to, it seems like they want to see men weaker.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Um.
And I don't think crying is a weakness. I think it's just a relief of stress for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of thoughts on that. I got to think
Go
about.
ahead.
I got to think about how to hone them in so I don't ramble for 15 minutes. But um, I do see signs in a little bit of news that I keep up with and read about, and YouTube stuff that I see. I do see, especially the younger generations, stereotypically seem a little softer, which is, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I do see that, but it's good, and it's also, you know, there's bad sides to it as well. You mentioned you said you think society wants men to get weaker. I think is the word you used.
Is yeah.
Yeah, um, I do.
I'm
I
not.
do.
I'm not saying all of society.
No,
Just
I would say society as a whole, at least American society.
mainstream society.
I would say that's trending. That desire is trending up. Yeah, but I don't think it's like they don't know what they want,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of that's being
Most young people don't.
I was going to say a lot of that's being young and dumb, right? You've got a lot of freedoms afforded to you that the generation before didn't have, and the generation before that certainly didn't have. And like so, every generation I think has it a little bit better in some way, but you've also got all these things that are. Oh, you need me to be
No,
closer.
no, you're right. You hit it
Okay,
and knocked it off.
so I think every generation has it better than the one before. Like I couldn't handle when my great grandfather lived. That dude was way tougher and smarter and resourceful than I am. So, just creature comforts living. The house I live in is bigger than my grandparents ever owned,
Yeah,
right? And I'm nowhere. They worked their whole life to get that house.
yeah.
So in some aspects, we have it better than our ancestors do. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you also have cell phones and stuff. Is that better for you? Because for me personally, it's a net negative. Like it makes my life worse overall. I'm less productive because of it. I'm less happy because of it. So yeah, your life's better. You have more creature comforts.
Mm-hmm.
You have the option to be softer. And so what are you going to do? You're going to take the path of least resistance.
That's a good way to put that.
Right.
You have the
now
option.
you
to
have
be
the option.
softer.
I don't think my great grandfather or my great great grandfathers who were trapping bobcats in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico to make a living. I don't think they had the option to kick their feet up and decide what YouTube channel am I going to watch right now. Right.
Yeah.
They had to go trap, go find water, protect their land, repair the house, whatever.
Yeah.
So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. There's pros and cons to everything. We do have it. We do have a good life, but I think people are taking it for granted, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
I'm softer than I probably should be. I am softer than I should be.
Absolutely.
And so, what do you expect the next generation to be? Right. I think it's just the natural progression of things. That whole cycle that everyone's heard 100 times about society.
Oh, the one where hard times create hard men create soft times create soft men,
Yep.
and that cycle soft times create.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I think we're just in the good times create weak men. I think we're in that phase right
yeah.
now. So if that cycle's really true, and it seems to make sense to me
It does. It
that it
makes
would.
absolute sense because, like, my first guest, Larry, last week, he was in Vietnam. He went through Army boot camp training in the 60s. And I'm sure that if you compared his training in the 60s to boot camp training now, there would be loads of difference. I mean, just in the hardship from the lack of technology that they had in the 60s compared to now, you know, you had to be more resilient back then. You don't have to be as resilient now because you have everything at your fingertips.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I can get I can never leave my house. Have groceries,
Mm-hmm.
Walmart,
Our
Amazon,
our
whatever.
neighbor across the street, I'm not going to tell you what we call her, but our neighbor across the street, she gets everything delivered. Everything.
Yeah, bro.
Everything.
Yeah.
And it's just like you can go to the grocery store, probably save yourself $5.
Yep.
That adds up over time.
Hey, you could use it to your benefit. Like you can use that. Are you using that spare time that you're saving to better yourself, or use it just to keep being soft and lazy?
I guarantee you she's using it to keep
I
being
think
soft
most
and
people
lazy.
are. I think most people are.
Well, that's what I saw a stat. Actually, hold the thought. I got to pee, and I don't know how to hit pause.
Okay.
So if you have a thought that you want to tell people about how
Yeah,
anything, tell
maybe
them.
I'll just plug my YouTube channel for a second while you're in there. Yeah, a little self promotion here. So if you go to YouTube and punch in "Go Play Outside," you'll get a ton of channels. If you want to check out mine, if you enjoy playing outside or want ideas on how to play outside or ideas on how to improve your mental health, that's another big thing on my channel. You'll have to punch in @ Go Play Outside 47. That's the handle for my channel. And we got elk hunting. I've recently gotten into guns a lot, so you'll see some gun videos in there. Hunting, archery. Um, there's some other good stuff. What am I forgetting? That's just what I've been into lately. Oh, hiking. Love to do some hiking. You'll see hiking trips. About to drop some videos from Hawaii. And God, what else is on my channel?
I don't know, but speaking of hiking,
Yeah.
we need to go hike a mountain together one day.
Okay.
You told me about some place you go and hike in Colorado,
Oh
right?
yeah, the man.
Some mountain.
I love the Manitou Incline.
That's it. I want to say, yeah,
Okay.
you were telling me about that.
Yeah, dude, I love that place. In fact, I'm going back to Colorado next month for a baby shower. My friend's pregnant, so
When?
uh, March 30th. Is that right? March 23rd? No, man, which crap.
I'll be gone from March 18th to the 22nd.
Okay.
Look at your schedule. We'll talk about this later.
Yeah. It's
Because
going to be one of
I'm
the last 2 weekends in March. I'm going to drive up there, party with them for 2 hours, and then go climb the mountain and drive back.
I totally want to go with you.
Okay. We'll do it.
Yeah, I'll pay for gas. But okay, back to the military. Okay.
Okay.
I saw a stat, didn't see a stat, but I heard a stat recently that said like 70% of military age male are not qualified for the military because they are either obese or have some sort of asthma or diabetes or something that uh, nixes them from joining the military.
Yeah.
And have you ever seen that photo where they showed a picture of people on the beach in the 50s and then people on the beach
Oh,
now?
I just saw that. Yeah.
Is that not crazy?
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it also, and that's the way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Life has gotten easier. Life has gotten. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to go hunt your own animal, or are you just going to buy whatever's on the grocery? So,
I have to admit, for years and years, and I took the easy route for sure.
yep. Do hard stuff, man. Do hard stuff. Because I think for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's going to be hard, like getting in the cold plunge in the beginning of the day, going hunting, whatever the hard thing is. You start your day off with something hard, the whole rest of the day is awesome. You lay in bed and lounge around and stay on your phone, the whole rest of the day for me sucks. It's certainly not as good as it could have been. So yeah, do hard stuff, man.
Let's talk about that cold plunge for a second.
Okay.
What? How often do you do it?
every week is different because my schedule is always different. But during a typical week, I would cold plunge 4 times a week, uh, 2.5 to 3 minutes each time. So,
I try to do. Um, I've gotten to a point where I do something every day, but I use my bathtub. I know you have a horse trough in your back.
yeah, it's
You,
just a feeder tank for livestock, 100-gallon feeder
yeah,
tank.
and what you just fill it with water and let nature cool it down during the winter, and then what do
Yep.
you do when it's warm?
Yep. So that's when I got to start making ice. But like right now, it's great, especially when
What do
we.
you mean by making ice? Like go buy it, or you actually have like an ice maker at
No, I start. I get rid of everything in my freezer. I make sure everything, all the okra, everything I've stored is all eaten by the time summer rolls around, and which makes sense, right? And then I just start filling up Tupperwares full of water, sticking them in the freezer, and then that takes about a day to freeze. And then I'll stick another layer of Tupperware in there. It's a ton of my freezer's full of ice.
yeah.
After 2 days, probably killing my compressor. But and then since I only cold plunge every other day, then I'll by day two I've got tons of ice. Empty the ice tray, empty all the Tupperware. It ends up being let's see, probably about 7 or 8 gallons of ice that I get in there, and that's normally enough to cool it down. Dead middle of summer, I quit doing it last year, like July, August. It's just not even worth it almost. So
So
I'll take a break for 2 months, but then I'll be right back on it.
so what I do is I buy ice because I just use my tub. Uh, my tub is not big enough for me to completely submerge myself down. Like I have to push my knees up and out of the water to
Okay.
lay completely back
Yep.
because I have an old Bethany home and a small tub. But I've been doing it every day, but every other day is an actual ice bath.
Okay.
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 Which also I think is a good, if any, first of all, cold plunges are where you submerge yourself in icy cold water for anywhere from 2.5 to some people go up to 4 and 5 minutes. I don't recommend that if you're starting. Recommend just a couple minutes. Um, but you submerge yourself in water, cold, balls cold water.
Yep.
But during the winter, I use 2 bags of ice. In summer, I use 3 bags of ice.
Okay.
Uh, on the days that I don't use ice, I just fill up my tub with whatever cold water comes in. During the winter, it's pretty cold, and it's a good way to start, I think. But I just buy my ice from OnQ. It's
Okay.
$4.97 for 2 bags of, I think it's 10-pound bags of ice,
Yeah.
and that makes it pretty freaking cold, man. And I do about, I just upped it to 4 minutes.
Okay.
So
My problem is I enjoy being in the cold water. I have to
I have
make myself get out.
I have gotten to a point where it's almost, you know, that feeling you get when you lay back in a nice warm bath, that that comfort feeling that you get. It's kind of like a nice warm little hug, that water on you.
I
I
can imagine. I mean,
I've
I haven't
gotten
taken a warm bath in I can't tell you how long, but
I've gotten to that point with the ice baths. Like I lean back, I hyperventilate for a second, and then I get my breathing to calm down,
yep.
and I get my breathing going right, and it's becomes relaxing.
Yep.
It really does.
Yeah, the first.
And then after that, after I get out, I'm awake. My
Oh yeah.
brain is
Oh,
ready to
yeah.
go. It's clear. It's done something difficult
Yep.
that you forced yourself to sit through, you know? And I'm ready to attack the day, dude.
Yeah.
I fucking love them.
Yep.
I
Me too.
really do. I really love a good cold plunge.
I learned my lesson several years ago when I first realized I like getting in cold water. This is before the cold plunge craze ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
We were hiking near Cronky Lake up in Colorado, near the Collegiate Peaks in Buena Vista, and we go do this all day hike to summit some 14er, and we come back down, and there's a pond right there, a little lake, Cronky Lake, and I just wanted to sit in this cold water, and I sat in it for like 8 minutes. It was
Ooh, that's a long time.
Yeah, the water was in the 30s, maybe 40s tops, but it was probably in the 30s. It was very, very cold. And I sat in it for 8 minutes. My friend started saying, "You need to get out. You need to get out." And I'm like, "This feels so good. You need to get out." I shivered all night long.
Because your body was trying to warm up.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much it was sucking the heat out of me. I just know I felt good, that my joints quit hurting, blah blah blah. And so that's when I learned, yeah, it numbs you, it feels good, it's great. But if you stay in more than, like in my case, 3 or 4 minutes tops, you're gonna be shivering the whole rest of the day. It's gonna actually be kind of miserable.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 minutes, I have to make myself get out, but I enjoy sitting in that thing for sure.
Yeah, that's why I started to push it to 4.
How
So
many days a week do you do it? You
so
said
I
every
do
other
the
day?
I do the ice every other day. I
Okay.
try to do 4 days a week.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
sometimes that week overlaps to where just 3 because there's an uneven number of days in a week. You know, but that just regular cold water in between those days
Yep.
help with that, because in those regular cold water I'll stay in for 5 minutes because it's just 50-degree water coming in.
Yep.
You got to stay in a little bit longer. Shit, where was I going? Oh, but the point of what I've learned about the actual cold plunges, and I've obviously grown my body to this. I've been doing cold plunges for quite some time now. I want to say almost a year, but it reduces inflammation. It dumps endorphins
Yep.
on you. Like my wife was reading that a cold plunge is equivalent to doing cocaine as far as the endorphins that it gets released into your brain. Which I could, yeah.
I've never done cocaine.
I'm just saying I can vouch for that. It does. It's very similar to how you feel. I can vouch for that. But it also, the best thing that it does is that it increases the brown fat around your organs. Okay.
Right.
Brown fat is healthy fats that help insulate you.
Right.
So now that I've gotten to this point where I'm doing it for a year, cold outside is not as cold to me anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's amazing what it's done just for me mentally and physically. Like, I saw a commercial where it was a weight loss place, and they were talking about some sort of cold therapy that they rub on on the outside of your skin. That I don't know exactly how it works, but it's some sort of cold therapy that's supposed to burn the fat. And that's another thing that cold plunges do, is it jump starts your metabolism, and it has you start burning as soon as you hit that water.
Yep. Yep. I agree. Shameless plug here, not because I'm trying to plug my channel again, but I did a cold plunge video and did a lot of research on it and included in that video.
Is that the one where you it was completely full of ice and it was like 13 degrees outside?
Yeah, I had to bust like 6 to 8 inches
Rachel
of ice.
showed me that video. I was like, this motherfucker didn't even hyperventilate when he leaned back in it.
Dude, yeah. It's I was looking for something to improve my mental health, which is a big part of my channel. It's just staying mentally healthy and physically healthy.
Uh-huh.
So I played with this cold plunge idea, tried to make a video on it. The whole point of all that is research that I came across, like Dr. Andrew Huberman.
I love the Huberman podcast.
Yeah. So he had this list of, I believe it was 24 things that cold plunge does. I list all those out in the middle of the video after I finish my 30-day experiment, and talk about the fact that I can attest to 21 of those 24. There were 3 that I can't prove or disprove. But if you watch that video, if you're interested in cold plunge, you want some health benefits,
you should absolutely be interested in cold plunge and go look at this video.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
Yeah. I mean, so I just want to help people out. If you're interested in learning more, check that out. Instead of watching Huberman's 2 or 3 hour podcast, you can just click on my video. It's 30 minutes long. You can even skip the whole thing and go to the middle of it, where I start listing out on the screen the 24 benefits. And there was some stuff in there in my research that I didn't realize, like people who are diabetic, if they start doing cold plunges, it does something phenomenal with diabetics, like where their insulin response comes back. There's testosterone goes through the roof.
Yes, that's another thing.
There's all kinds of things.
It improves testosterone.
Hair growth. I can't remember everything, but the brown fat was one. All kinds of stuff.
Well, I understand how the hair growth comes into play, because it's cold and your body's like, no, we need hair everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, there's yeah. I wish hair growth would slow down on some parts of my body, but yeah. It's great, man. We're
in our 40s. We're not talking about that.
Yeah. So yeah, a couple minutes of suck in the morning for 12 hours. Awesome.
That's what that I mean, that's really what it is like you said, do something hard. It
I,
makes life so much easier.
yep. Yeah. Yep. Totally agree. So
But like you said about you just said a second ago about you did it because you just wanted to uh, experiment the benefits of it, but also to help people.
yes, I enjoy helping people. Yes.
That is the point of this right
Yeah.
here, because maybe only one or two people will listen to this, but maybe one person listens to it where it sparks, it plants a seed in their head, and that later on down the line they make some sort of positive change because they heard you and me talk about something specific, and they've been thinking about it,
Right.
but they've never had the wherewithal or gall or whatever you want to call it to actually begin and do something, or they don't know how to, you know. Ice bath, for example, if you have a bathtub and you have a gas station near you, you can get started. Go buy 2 bags of ice, fill it
Agreed.
with water,
Agreed.
and sit in that bitch for 2 minutes and force yourself to do it and see how you feel afterwards. And
To-
if you feel great, do it again in 2 days. And then do it again, do it again. Before you know it, it becomes 6 months and a year, and you're better off than you were.
Agreed. Yeah. Do what you can with what you got. Yeah. Start wherever you're at. That's one of the big things I learned about YouTube. I'm a guy that used to be still am very analytical, want to do everything perfect. And I kept watching these videos on how do I start a YouTube channel. And I kept noticing the same two pieces of advice that were really similar. Famous YouTubers would say things like, I waited till I had the right microphone. I waited till I had the right camera. I waited till I had the right computer. I waited till I had the right editing software. And he goes, they all said the same thing. I wish I would have just got started. I would have learned way faster and got way better a lot quicker. And so they all just kept saying, start where you're at. Just, and for me, not to make this about me, but I think a lot of people are this way. For me, I didn't want to suck, right? I didn't want my first video to suck. Well, news for you. If you watch my first video, it sucks, right?
Go back
But
and watch my first video.
yeah, right. You learn stuff from that first podcast,
Uh-huh.
right? And so in 10 podcasts, you're going to be way different than you were because you weren't waiting for the $1,000 microphone and the $10,000. You don't have Joe Rogan's Jamie doing all your editing, right?
Yeah.
So start where you're at with what you've got. I cannot. I've never been that way until I started my little YouTube journey, which led me to the ice bath, which led me to hunting, which led me to. And I got to tell you, man, that is the way to live life. I'm about the 80-20 rule now. I know about 80% of what I need to know. Let's go. We'll figure out the rest later. Right. I'm sorry I got so jazzed talking about
No,
that, but
no,
that
you're
has
good.
changed my life.
You're good. That's called passion, my friend.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
called
I hope
passion.
that helps somebody. Back to your point. I hope that helps somebody, whether it's with ice bath or starting a podcast or, I started making mental health videos because that's a big thing of mine
Mm-hmm.
that I struggled with and I want to help people with. You said this may only reach one person. I got some Facebook friend I've never met before from England because I made a mental health video and she struggles with mental health. Knowing that helped that one person. I don't know if it's helped anyone else, honestly, but just knowing it helped that one person, that made all the frustrations of the internet and my computer and my GoPro and my batteries, made it all worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and again, I cannot foot stomp how much my videos are not great, but they're there. And this podcast is already better than my YouTube videos, man. This stuff is great.
And
So
this is in my dining room.
this is great, man. I
Like,
love that
look,
you're
you
doing
can
this. It makes
you
me want to do a podcast.
you can see my spices in the background.
Yeah, I love it.
Which
Dude.
quick little quirky note, my wife stresses over.
Oh,
Like,
she OCD.
look at them. See how straight they are?
Oh yeah.
I guarantee you she did that last night. She straightened her spices so in the background it would look neat and organized.
Are they in alphabetical order? I'm gonna have to ding her a point.
Oh, don't give her more stresses than she already has, man.
Rachel, I'm reviewing your spices after this podcast. Sorry, I got fired up there. That was
No, man.
This podcast is great and it will help
the
people.
passion that I like.
Yeah.
That's why that's one of the reasons I enjoy talking to you specifically. Like, If you're listening to this, one of the reasons why I started this podcast is conversations with Brandon. I used to go over, I've been over to his house many a times when my wife was going to clean it, and we just sat there and talked. And those conversations have led to this right here.
Yeah, I just found that out today, so that's pretty cool, man. I didn't know
Yeah.
our
You're,
conversation started this.
yeah.
That's cool, man.
The conversations that I've had with you about many different topics led to this.
Well, I think the cool thing about talking with you is there's not a lot of, I don't feel like there's a lot of fluff, right?
What do you mean by fluff? You mean bullshit?
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm a very to the point.
Like you'll tell
This
me
is how I
exactly what you
feel.
think.
This is how I feel. And it may not be, you may not agree with it, but let's talk about it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I appreciate that for sure. So that's why however long you do this podcast, it'll help people just because you're being genuine and you're being honest.
One of my goals in life now is to, at my funeral, I want someone to say, if draws changed your life in a positive way, stand up. And I want at least 10 people to stand up. That's it. Just 10. If it's more, fantastic, but I want at least 10. I don't want to know about it while I'm alive. I don't need you to tell me about it because that's not the point. The point is to help people. That's the best way to go through life, to want other people to succeed just as much as you want to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, like I see it a lot in the comedy world. There's so many open micers that they care about their stage time and getting on stage, which you absolutely should. You should have that drive. But at the same time, the dude next to you, you should want him to do just as well. Like when he's on stage and telling his jokes, you're not in the back of the room talking to your buddy, about your set. You're paying attention and supporting that other person that just watched you and supported you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so much in this world if everybody wants their way. There is enough for everybody. This universe provides enough for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I used to be of the mindset everyone had to agree with me in order for me to accept them. We had to agree. I think a lot of people are that way, and I've come to the realization that I'm a lot alike to everyone in some way, but I also have my own little quirks and differences, and that's okay too. So, it's okay for me to want to do my own thing, but that doesn't mean everybody has to do Brandon's thing. And I feel better. I used to feel almost like a competition where it was me versus the world.
Yeah.
Good. And now I'm like with you. I don't need my YouTube channel to be the best. I don't need my hunting to be the best, whatever the thing is. I just want to be genuine and help other people. And that's where it's at, man. People helping people. That whole, you ever seen that Maslow's hierarchy triangle? You ever seen that?
Describe it to me.
Okay. So, Maslow, I'm sure he was some sort of scientist, psychologist, probably psychiatrist. I'm not sure. And the bottom of it says it's the 5 needs that you have. And at the very bottom, you need, it's going to be like physical needs, safety from predators, stuff like that. And then you're going to need like, I think it's, God, I'm going to forget it. But then it goes to like food and water. And then you've got social needs like love and acceptance. And you get to the very top after you get protection and food and water and house, shelter. And the very top need at the very top of the triangle is self-actualization. And I never understood what that meant for years. I always knew it was important because it's at the top of this pyramid and everything else seems to be ranked in order. What the heck is self-actualization? It's becoming who you really are. That's the best way I can say it. And to me, for anyone to become who they really are, like, are you helping other people? Are you in this navel gazing, self-serving world? I don't think you're reaching self-actualization that way. You're in some sort of death spiral that's only self-serving, that misses the point of life. Like if you want, what's the whole thing? If you want love, give it away.
Mm-hmm.
If you want power, give it away. If you want And that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
At comedy sets, trying to help other comics, at podcasts, trying to help other people. It's not, you're not trying to have the number one podcast. You're not trying to be the world's best comedian. You're trying to be genuine and help other people.
Yeah.
And so maybe you're not going to make $10 million off this podcast, right? But
That's not the goal.
right, you're going to have
I,
fulfillment, peace, happiness, healthy, self-actual. You're going to be who Draws Ball really is, right?
yeah.
You're going to be you. Can't put a price on that.
That's what I was telling somebody one day. All the goals that I've set for myself, um, at the base of every single one of them, there's multiple throughout the years. Like I have 20-year plan in my head, whatever. But at the base of every single one of those goals is helping people. That's the base of every single one of them. Like, for example, I want to do a restaurant eventually. I'm not going to tell you about it because I don't want somebody to steal my idea. But I want to start a restaurant. And in the hiring process, I've decided that there will be the question of what is a dream or goal that you have. Then they'll tell me about it. And then I'll say, show me. I'll pay for your day. Show me what you mean. And in that moment, you'll either figure out if they're a liar or if they're truthful. And if they're truthful, then they'll take you and they'll show you their passion and whatnot. And it's like, okay, I'll hire you, but your end goal is not to work for me for 20 years or 25 years.
Right.
Your end goal is to pursue this passion while you work for me.
That reminds me of Fight Club. You ever seen Fight Club?
Oh yeah,
I think it was Fight Club when Brad Pitt finds the foreigners who open a convenience store, and he's like, "Why'd you come to this country?" Was that?
Oh yeah, yeah, where he held a gun to the back of his head and took his license.
Yeah, he's like, "You're gonna go back to college, and you're gonna like." It's a twisted way to do it, but
yeah,
that's kind of what
it's a very twisted way to do it. Absolutely,
right. You're not gonna be doing that, but that's what it reminds me of. Like he took it to the extreme of wanting people to live the life they really wanted to live.
Instead of living your mundane, wake up, go to work, come home, kiss the wife, eat dinner, go to bed. You know, there's
that actually sounds pretty good right now. I would.
I mean,
that didn't sound bad for me. That's my next goal.
We'll find you a girlfriend.
Yeah, eventually.
If you're looking for a boyfriend, his name is Brandon Raley. His phone number. But yeah, I mean, that's the base of all the dreams that I have is there's the initial wanting to help people. Yeah, I want to give you a job. I want to help you provide for your family outside of work. But also, I want you to chase your dreams, man.
Yeah. The old yin and the yang. So everybody wants to... So I like this quote too. Everybody wants to change the world, but nobody wants to help mom with the dishes. Right? So I always have these two competing things in my head. There's always the yin and the yang, the good and the bad, the order and the chaos, right? So I want that for everyone too. But also, I need to do that. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No, absolutely not. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, be disciplined. Do your ice bath. Yeah. Whatever it is your conscious says you need to do, go for your 15-mile run. Whatever it is you're supposed to be doing, you got to do all that too. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I say the real work happens outside of the time clock.
Oh, yeah, you did say that. Yeah, we're saying the same thing.
That's why I say that. The real work happens outside of the time clock.
Yeah.
Because you can't, although, don't get me wrong, I've had jobs where I've spent a lot of the time while I was working writing a book that I'm writing. You know, like I technically got paid. I was a paid author because somebody else paid me to write while I was on their clock, you know. But that can, if you have that kind of luxury, fantastic. To chase your dreams while you're working, great. But if not, you got to put in some real work outside of the time clock. You have to wake up at 5 a.m., take an ice bath, take your dog for a run, then go for a run, then come home, shower, eat breakfast, then go to work for however long, then get off, come home, do it all over again.
Yeah. Yep. there's a lot of discipline,
Discipline is hard. I
bro.
fail regularly.
Yeah, me too.
Regularly.
But that's that's something we could talk about for a second, because I've noticed I've had some goals this year and I've been adhering to them, and things happened this week that took me off my path. I've been on the path all year long, and this week things didn't go right. The old me used to get really upset about that.
Hang on, before you go forward.
Yeah.
What was the goal and what set you off track?
Okay, so I've had a goal to. I've been trying to keep this under wraps, but I'll just be honest about it.
You can be. You don't have to give me every detail.
I know how to handle this so that I'm honest, but I also stay true to myself here. So I've had a goal to go to the gym twice a week. I've had a goal to work out 6 days a week, which is different than going to the gym. I do like an outdoor workout. You were in my video for that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Your little pull-up bars and everything out. Yeah.
I still haven't dropped that video yet, but
you can see me at buff.
Yeah. And then what's my other goal? I'm forgetting.
Said go to the gym 2 days a week.
Work out 6 days a week. And then I was walking/running at least 3 days a week.
Okay.
So
all achievable goals.
Been doing all that.
What threw you off?
And doing ice baths 3 to 4 days a week. So Monday I'm becoming a certified pistol instructor.
Okay.
Been taking classes for that. Took my last class all day Monday and Tuesday. Was in class all day. It drained me. Long story short, the class was just Charlie Brown's teacher. No disrespect to the person teaching,
monotoned.
But it was tough to sit through 16 hours of that.
Okay.
So I'm pretty drained after 2 days. And it was way north of town. So I didn't have time to do anything other than go to class all day and drive and do that stuff. So there's 2 days that are killed. And then allergies swept through Oklahoma this week. Mm-hmm. I got wrecked, super fatigued, couldn't figure it out for a couple of days till a friend posted something on Facebook about it. And I was like, oh my God.
That's what it is. Allergies.
That's why I have no energy. And I thought I was just going to take an extra rest day this week. So allergies, abnormal thing I don't normally do going to class. And here's the whole point. The reason I didn't have time to do all those things, or the reason normally when I wouldn't do those things, I would get real upset, double down, force it to happen, do something weird like a workout at night that's not good for me. And this week I'm finally at a place where okay, you've been doing good for 7 weeks.
You can relax.
There's a reason this week didn't go the way it was supposed to. It wasn't because I chose to suck. It wasn't because I chose to make bad decisions. It was because I was actually doing the right thing, pursuing a goal I want, becoming a pistol instructor, and something I couldn't control. The allergies just wrecked me more than I expected. And so I don't freak out about that stuff anymore. You're going to have downtime. I was disciplined. I did what I could, but not everything is going to go the way you expect. And that's okay. That's one of the biggest things I wish somebody would have taught me. You're not going to get your homework done every single day. You're not going to get insert thing every single day. But did you do what you could do to keep your side of the street clean? Yeah, I did. Okay. That's all you can do. Be at peace with that. So, and the diet fell off a little this week because reasons, and it can become a quick downward spiral.
Oh, absolutely.
So when we leave this podcast right here, I will be going to my first workout of the week on Saturday, my first workout. But hey, man, I'm squeezing in what I can this week, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not this. I got to get out of this death spiral.
That's it, man. I don't want to say that it's laziness, but sometimes, especially with all the exercising that I do, running particularly, I can injure myself very easily if I push too hard and I don't stretch enough and whatnot. And then on top of that, I go and I wait tables and I walk back and forth all night long, so I can injure myself very easily, and I have to be very careful I do very many things to help prevent those. But if I do get a little injury, I got to stop for a couple days and I got to let it heal. And when I do that and I miss workouts, it makes me mad too. Um, and I have noticed that when I do, like we were talking about, do something hard to make your day easier. When
Yep.
I don't do those hard things, I can tell in my day. I can tell in my mentality.
Me too.
I can tell in my attitude, the way it comes across. I can tell in talking with my wife. And, like, so not only is it the physical aspect of it, but it's also the mental aspect of it, what it does for you.
That's bigger for me is the mental
That's
game.
huge for me. And my niece, my wife's niece by marriage, so my niece by marriage, she had said something asking me about a 100-mile race and how I was going to do it. And I was like, you know what? I think it's going to be a majority up here. It's going to be a majority mental to say, I can go one more step. I can go one more step. I can go one more step. You know,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of physicality in there getting up to it, but there's, I think, going to be so much mental about it.
Yeah. You're getting in that David Goggins realm with
That's some crazy realm right there. That dude.
Yeah, I don't.
If you want to get your life together, go look up David Goggins. Okay,
I don't know.
read his book. I got it right up here.
Yeah.
Never finished, motherfucker.
I can't figure that guy out. I think he has some kind of demon or something, man. That
I,
guy,
I,
like, he's so positive, but then he's like, this little, not little, there's this extreme part of him that just seems to be in some other dimension.
there he is. He is a different animal for sure.
Yeah, I can't figure him out.
He has found this internal drive that he has that just surpasses any human being that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's motivating for sure.
Oh, I listen to him during
But
workouts sometimes. I'll listen to his speeches and he's like, get out there and run, motherfucker.
Yep.
Like, okay, I'm running.
Stay hard. That's what he always stay hard.
I have stay hard tattooed on my leg.
Do you?
I do.
Because of him?
Well, yeah. So,
oh, you do?
yeah. It says stay hard right there. Right next to Cameron Haynes's keep hammering. I got go one more. I got don't be a bitch on my leg. That's my wife.
Is this all
this is my little mantra leg.
Is this like, okay, it's not just dedicated to running, it's everything?
No, this little half of my leg is, I call it my mantra leg. And it has on there mine that I came up with, I am a badass, I must succeed.
Okay.
I started telling myself that one day on a hard run. It was getting hard, and I was like, I am a badass, I must succeed. And I just said it over and over in my head. And I say it to myself whenever I'm down on myself. Like, oh, I'm not worthy enough. Then I tell myself, I am a badass, I must succeed. Not only does that give me drive, but it also reiterates that I'm worth it and that in order to succeed, I'm going to have to put in hard work.
Yeah.
So when I tell myself that, when I'm putting in the hard work, it reiterates in my brain, you're worth it and what you're doing is right. So it's kind of one of the things that I came up with for me. I mean, people have great short ones like stay hard, like that's pretty quick and easy. I could tattoo that on my fingers right there. Not going to. It's already tattooed on me already on my calf. So, but I do love me some David Goggins. I mean, he is a motivational.
Yeah.
If you want to get your life together, just live off his philosophies and you will change drastically.
I tend to be a little bit, so he's cool. I like him. I enjoy hearing him speak and how quick he is at thinking on the fly and answering people's questions legit, honestly. Like a guy, he's at a baseball game and a guy asked him about divorce or something. Dude, he just gives this rock solid answer, like right off the cuff in 2 or 3 minutes. And he's never BSing.
No,
that's why I love him. He's not
That's one of the
telling you
reasons I
because
like
he thinks it's the popular answer or the whatever. Like he's like you. He just tells you exactly what he thinks and he nails it. I tend to be more of a Jocko guy though. I like watching Jocko.
I do like Jocko as well.
I loved his book. I haven't read the Goggins one to compare it to, but I tend to be more of a Jocko guy. Like,
I believe Jocko's coming out Jocko Willink.
Yep.
Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Ex-Navy SEAL. I believe he's coming out with a new book, and I believe it's called Discipline Equals Freedom.
Oh, I think
DEF.
okay.
Because that's his whole thing. That's like his motto:
Yeah.
discipline equals freedom.
If I had a tattoo, that would be mine.
And
When I heard him say that a couple of years ago, I was like, "Oh, bro."
it's absolutely true.
Yep.
Because the discipline you put into the hard work gives you the freedom to explore life in a whole new way.
Yeah. My favorite thing from his book is his book was called Extreme Ownership.
Oh, I love that.
He may have others, but going through like some form of AA that I went through when I quit drinking, they would talk about personal accountability, right? And the program I went through wasn't AA; it was a church based program, and
Similar to AA.
it was similar. It was very similar actually, but they never really, for me, hammered the point home that everything was my fault. Like, and so when I read his book, he's like, whether it's your fault or not, maybe you could blame somebody else. Maybe somebody else would blame. If it didn't go right, it's your fault. And I was like, that's extreme ownership. That's why it's called that. Like, it wasn't just taking accountability for himself. Like, if a project failed because his project manager didn't do something right, he's like, that's my fault. I'm like, what? So reading that, realizing I couldn't blame anyone. If anything that I was involved with failed because of me, that was like next level game changer for me. And I love that. So I don't have anyone to blame. And that has made things way easier now. Right?
Yeah.
Why do you feel like crap today? Well, I mean, I could blame
Because I didn't eat right yesterday and I didn't exercise.
Right. And like there's situations that I talked about where I'm not in control. Like, well, the allergies. Well, whose fault was it that you weren't prepared for allergies? Like, I can blame the allergies. It's a learning step for me. Next time this happens, I'll be prepared. But that time, whose fault was it that I wasn't prepared? Mine. Right? There's no more of this, well, I'm going to stay in bed for 3 days because I feel horrible, which I do feel horrible. But whose fault is that? Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming to save you. Rescue yourself. So, yeah, man. But both of them are great. I'll give you a little tip. I used to do some. All this started because of your endurance racing. This whole little rabbit trail here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I got some super stellar advice for you when you do your 100 miles. Right? This is going to blow your mind. I used to do endurance racing a long time ago, and you know what the number one lesson I learned from endurance racing was?
What?
This is going to blow your mind. Right? I guarantee you'll finish 100 miles if you just follow this one tip. Finish any race if you follow this one tip. Pace yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Pace, yes.
I can't tell you how many races I did and other people did, and you're like, I got X time, or like the races I did were 24 hours, and we would start out like bats out of hell.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you got 24 hours. Something in your mind feels like you're behind. I don't know if you ever feel that way when you're doing a 15-mile run or a marathon.
No, in any time I'm in a race, I'm like, I got to get that person in front of me.
You start
I got to get to
faster
that
than you
person.
should.
Absolutely.
So-
I did it in my marathon.
It took me 3 24-hour races to realize, let them go.
Yeah.
Let them go. It hurts your ego so bad, or whatever that thing is. Let them go. Guess what happens at hour 5, at hour 10, at hour 15? Guess who's in the front now? It's so tough to let them go, but just pace yourself.
When I did my Spartan Beast race, there was this
Did you
guy.
try to catch people?
No. But I didn't know what to expect. I had really just gotten back into running long distance. Like I said, I quit doing all the stupid shit when I was 37. And I did this race when I was 40. You know, it took a while to get into healthy shape to where I thought I could do the race.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I did that Spartan Beast race, one, it was out in California. I had to drive out there, spend the night there, do the race. After the race, I took an hour and a half nap in the back seat of my car. No shower, other than a hose they had. And then I turned around and drove back to Oklahoma City right after that nap. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, I had to force myself to do all these things. But whenever I was in the race, at the start of it, I was up towards the front. I was ready to go. I was feeling good, and I took off. I was in the front of the pack, and I was pacing myself. I was still pacing myself, but I was pacing myself too fast. And eventually, like, I want to say it was about 5 miles into it, I was on this hill, And this guy that I was talking to before we raced, he came running up. He was like, "Hey, how you doing, man?" And he was running with me. We ran together for a while,
Yeah.
and he was actually from there. And we talked about California and whatnot for a little while. Then he ended up leaving me because I dropped back because I was worn off. But one of the things he told me, he was like, at the start of every single one of my races, he's like, I pick somebody out that I think is going to kind of take off at the front. And he's like, I pace myself and then I try to catch them eventually through the race.
Heck
And
yeah.
he picked me and passed me about 5 miles in. Exactly what you're talking about.
Dude, it's so
exactly what you're talking about. Because I went at this race like, I'm going to attack this fucking race. I'm ready to go. I was not prepared.
yeah, you don't want to get behind, so you start too fast, which puts you behind. Yep.
It's like the old tortoise and the hare story, man.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever hear that when you were a kid? Slow and steady.
Yep.
Slow and steady.
But when you start in a race, man, there's all these endorphins, this hype.
You're going, your adrenaline's pumped.
You put in all this time, all this money, all this commitment, discipline, effort, and that gun goes off or however they start the race, and there's all these people around you. It's like I got to position myself right now so that I'm at the front of this thing, not at the probably the worst thing you could have done.
Yeah. So you remember the movie 300?
Yeah.
So in that scene where Gerard Butler turns to his men and he says, "Spartans, what is your profession?" And they do that. They do. Well, they do that at the beginning of a Spartan race.
That's pretty cool.
So it pumps like they do it like 5 seconds before they say go. So you're pumped. You're like, I'm a fucking Spartan. Oh, and you take off. It's just ridiculous. Like I'm excited now. I want to go run.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
But that's why, like in that race, I was just like, I'm ready to go. And 5 miles, this dude. How's it going, man? I picked you out at the beginning of the race. I knew I was going to catch you.
Do you ever monitor your heart rate?
No, I don't have any of that technology.
Okay. So I used to have it a long time ago. Now they just have it in an Apple Watch. You don't have to wear I used to have to wear a chest strap and buy a special watch. Now it's just in an Apple Watch. But I
don't think that those watches are accurate as the strap that you're talking about. I think that strap is more accurate if you're really looking at your heart.
Yeah.
Because the Apple Watch just goes off the pulse in your wrist, which is, I think, delayed by very little bit compared to that strap you were talking about.
Okay.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I have trouble regulating my emotions, especially in races. I'll get super jazzed and then realize way too late that I'm going way too hard.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I did was a test to figure out what my lactic threshold was. This is the heart rate at which you start producing lactic acid.
Okay.
For me, back in the day, when I hit 172 beats per minute, that meant my muscles were starting to produce lactic acid and things were going to start sucking here shortly after. If I could keep it under 172, then I would never get lactic acid. I could pedal for days.
Yeah.
So I bought a heart rate monitor, went and did a big race that they used to have in Oklahoma down in the Wichita Mountains called 12 Miles of Hell. People came from all over the country to do this race. And I had one goal: keep my heart rate below my lactic threshold and just do the race.
Okay.
I remember trying to race off the way I felt, and I would always crash too early or have to back off. That race, I strictly followed my heart rate monitor. It would beep at me when I got to 165.
So you knew you had to slow down.
I knew I was starting to get into if I got to 172, I was screwed. So it would beep at me at 165, and it wouldn't shut off the annoying beep until I slowed down. And dude, sometimes we're climbing a mountain and emotionally, I want to keep going, but this thing is blaring at me. I'm like, I don't feel bad. I'm ready to get up this mountain. But I followed the watch, and it wasn't 2 mountains into the race, second mountain in the race. All those people that had blown past me on the first mountain, I felt like I was crawling so slow. I was going past all of them. Third mountain, I'm passing more people. I did that the entire rest. The first mountain was the only one people destroyed me. Mm-hmm. I never got past again for the next 11 and a half miles of the race. And there's like 600 and something people in the race. I placed 6th overall.
Wow.
I was just passing people. All I did, and that wasn't to toot my own horn, but other than to say, all I did was make sure I was under my lactic threshold, dude, and I performed so much better than basing it off how I felt in my mind and in my body.
Uh-huh.
I listened to that heart rate monitor, bro, and I had a great race. I never would have told you I placed sixth in one of the biggest races I've ever done in my life. It was, I mean, nobody really cares about sixth, but for me, sixth place was this amazing.
Sixth is amazing.
For
in a
me, it
race
was like this
that,
huge
dude.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might play around with heart rate monitors if you want to step your game up a little.
No, I need to look into that. Oh, I gotta stand
And I
up
think
for a
they're
second.
pretty cheap now. You cramping up?
I got a cramp. Yeah.
Too much running. Too much talking about running.
I gotta pee again too. So
Okay.
plug your channel.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out what videos.
Did you do a video on that race?
I did not. No, I did not do a video on that race. But you reminded me on my channel, not only is there hiking and hunting, there's also cold plunge stuff, mental health help, self-help videos, and it feels weird talking about my channel, but it's driving me nuts that I can't remember what the other video was. I'm going to look it up. I feel like I've done more than that. Go play outside. View channel. Oh, I love to do running guns. So you'll see some running gun competitions on there where you run with a rifle and a pistol on a 5K course and shoot targets. I built an outdoor gym. We talked about that. That's on the channel. A bunch of YouTube shorts on kayaking. Just anything outdoors. I think that's about it. So it feels weird plugging my channel that much, but
sorry. One thing I did learn about watching the Joe Rogan podcast is that you shouldn't hold in a pee.
Oh yeah, just go.
Because when you got to pee really bad, all you can think about is that you got to pee really bad. So it diminishes your thought process. So until I figure out how to pause this thing, I just kind of got to leave it going.
We're just staying live, baby.
Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't give me an option to pause it when you hover.
How long we been going?
Hour and 17 minutes. It's 10:50 a.m.
Okay.
You need to go soon?
If I'm going to be disciplined, I probably got about 15 minutes here, and then I got to wrap up.
Well, let's. So when I originally thought about doing this podcast after having conversations with you, I wrote down a few things a long time ago. One of which I read you this morning, and you thought it was an interesting question. Little background before I ask this question. Whenever I met Brandon, my father had just passed away, and he was having a beer in the bar that my wife worked at, Lumpy's.
Yep.
And my wife introduced me to him and thought it would be a good idea for me to meet him because he was doing a weekly jiu-jitsu class that we called Fight Club. And before that, you had a Bible study before it. Even though religion is not huge on me, I attended your Bible study for a little while, but I attended more the jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I fell in love with jiu-jitsu, which is also one of my goals for this year, is to start actually at a gym and start pursuing my black belt in jiu-jitsu this year.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Do you know who Tim Kennedy is?
Oh yeah.
Love Tim Kennedy.
Watched a video on him yesterday.
I think I follow him on Instagram, and he just recently posted a video about, I want to say it was the Kansas City Super Bowl shooting. And on it, he was talking about, this is why good people need to be good at violence.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the better you are at violence, the better you are protecting people from violent people. Okay?
I can buy into that. Yep.
Makes sense?
Yep.
So the question that I read was, when is it okay to interject a situation with violence? Now, by violence, I don't mean killing somebody.
Okay.
I just simply mean anything from putting someone in a headlock and knocking them out so they can't hurt somebody, or fighting. It could be any type of self-defense.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So ask me that. I want to hear the words specifically you asked one more time. Say that again.
When is it okay to interject a situation with violence?
Okay. So I'm going to talk out loud. I'll flail around for a second and then see if I can't get you an answer. When is it okay to interject violence in a situation?
Obviously, this is a situation that is between you and somebody else where it is starting to escalate.
Yeah. Um, so I'll even think about it in more of a general sense and then we'll hone in there. I think so. First thing I would say is the thing that people don't think about is violence may be an option, but if you can get away, if you can leave the situation, leave.
Situational awareness.
Well, that's huge too. You won't even get in the situation if you're aware of your surroundings, which little public service announcement here for you guys, because I study this stuff. One of the best things you can do is not be on your phone with your head up and looking around when you're walking down the street, walking to your car, whatever. Uh, what does the lion want to go after? The gazelle that's up looking around, or the one that's down and getting a drink of water or eating grass, right? Human predators are the same way. They do exist.
They look for the weakness.
If you're not paying attention and I'm a predator, I'm coming after you because you're not paying attention. So situational awareness will get you out of 99.99% of situations. Then we find ourselves in this 0.01%, or we're not being situationally aware. So when is it okay to use violence? If I don't have to use violence, I'm leaving, right? If you're yelling at me at a bar, you're disrespecting me, you're insulting me, cool, man. We don't have to fight. And I can tell you from experience, you don't want to get in a fight. Bad things can and will happen, either physically, legally. I've had both. It's not something you want to play with. If you're not emotionally well, you're not emotionally fit, start working on that. Because if any little thing's going to trip your trigger, you're going to do things you regret. Ask me how I know. Right. So if you're being situationally aware, or even if you're not, but if you can't get away, if you can't get away, now we're stuck in this very small percentage of situations. This is very, very small. I would say certainly if someone put their hands on me or grabs me, okay, um, you're in my world now. You're in my space right now. I'm not going to wait any longer for this to de-escalate. And you want to respond with what they call, it's the term means equal. It's like an equal response, a proportional response. That's the term.
Okay.
You want to use proportional. So if you punch me, I can't shoot you with a gun, right?
Okay.
Right. I mean, actually, some places you can, but I would say you want to make sure that you understand the term proportional from a legal aspect.
Hang on, let's go back 1 second.
Okay.
Where you said the some places you can shoot for punching.
Yeah.
Don't ever shoot anybody unless your life is in danger.
Right. Legally,
you will go to prison.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Study your state's laws,
yeah.
But in general, across the nation, most counties of most states would say, or I should say, most states in the country would say, if you're like having a felony committed against you, or you're receiving like personal harm, the level can vary, but if someone's trying to hurt you, kill you, break your bones, whatever, a lot of states, if you have a firearm on you, it would be justified in self-defense.
Okay.
That's a general statement. I'm not a lawyer. You're not a lawyer.
Look into your city's laws.
And the stuff changes all the time. And here's a little rabbit trail for you. Just because you've got insurance that covers that sort of thing doesn't necessarily mean you're covered. We've had some concealed carry insurance providers recently that have not been doing what they say they're going to do. So
I have USCCA right now, and I've actually heard that they are not as good as they claim to be.
I'm not. I'll just say it's interesting you mentioned them. That's all I'm going to say. So
we're not going to get into that because we're a small podcast.
Yeah, but back onto the track. It's something I study and watch a lot of.
Go ahead, backtrack.
So if you grab me, I'm going to respond with proportional force. And if I think I can, it's just me and you, and you're the attacker, I can use judo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, something to just
subdue you.
Right. Just to mitigate the threat. I will. If this is Brandon's personal system, I haven't really ever shared this before, but if I think you're trying to do personal harm to me, then and you just got hands, maybe you're a bigger dude, more experienced dude. Maybe you walk around in your gi with your black belt on, and now you're kicking my butt. I'm like, this guy can fight way better than me. So I also carry what I call a non-lethal weapon on me.
Which is
I like pepper spray.
okay.
Fantastic.
Which is completely legal in most places as well.
It is. I've had to use it once. It worked great. And all the cops gave me props for using it in the situation I was in. So that would be my second course of action. I'm not saying it should be yours, but I'm saying that would be proportional to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, I don't want to have broken teeth, and I don't want you to have a broken face and lawyers and lawsuits and all this crap that comes along. I just spray and walk away.
Which actually, that happens in a lot of cases because so many people who pick a fight with somebody who's not wanting to fight and then they get their ass kicked, their pride has now been diminished, and usually legal action they think will bring their pride back up. I mean, that's getting psychological about it, but it does happen quite often because people's prides get hurt in fights.
Sure.
And they do.
Sure. So I don't know if I'm being very focused about my answer, but I would say for me personally, if I can get away, I'm going to get away. If I need to throw you on the ground and grapple you, I'm going to grapple you.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel like we're going to have to get in some altercation where I'm throwing fists and kicks and knees and I'm getting older now. I'm not a Superman. That maybe I win that fight, maybe I don't. I'd rather just pepper spray and walk away.
Yeah.
Work smarter, not harder. And a lot of people that I know that are macho dudes laugh at that. And then I've hung out with them for a while, and they have slowly, one by one, started telling me, I thought about what you said. I've been carrying pepper spray now. Yeah, it's way easier, dude. But also don't, proportional response, right?
Mm-hmm.
Proportional force. And then in the last situation, if I thought actually this guy's punching me so much he's going to kill, can't get to my pepper spray, this guy's the only way I can stop this serious bodily harm
is extreme violence,
is by shooting this person or killing this person. Well, then we can get into knife fighting or gun fighting. That's a situation I pray I'm never in, and no one I know is ever in, but it's always there just in case I need it or someone I know needs it. But I would say that's when you can interject violence, when you can't get away and lower levels don't mitigate the threat. Now you're forced to protect yourself.
Yeah.
So God forbid. I hope it never happens. Some guys dream about that situation. I'm not that guy. I hope it never
I'm not
happens.
either.
So
I'm not either. Last thing I want to do is hurt somebody.
yeah, me too.
And I've been in situations where I'm like, I'm just going to walk away because this is just going to escalate. There's no talking to you. There's no matter what I say, you're going to come back with something. And it's not going to me talking is not going to de-escalate the situation. Me walking away may.
Yeah, my ego never really makes the right decision.
No.
Me personally, I don't know how your ego is.
Me either. When I get mad, I say stupid shit that I don't really mean.
Yeah, you're right. Those are good times to realize, hey, my ego's not in check. Maybe I said one extra thing I shouldn't have said. I think about it later. What's bothering me? Let's get emotionally fit. For crying out loud, you carry a weapon. You need to be emotionally fit with this thing. So,
and
those are good signs to check yourself.
Training really helps with that.
Oh God,
I've been around some badasses in my life, and just about every single one of them, one has their ego in check. Two are super nice because they know they can kill you.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you have that knowledge that no matter what this person can do, I can counteract it and I can overcome them.
Right.
You are much more calm as a person.
Right.
Like
and the more you learn about violence, the more you realize you don't want to be involved with it. So the more I learn about jiu-jitsu or judo or whatever, firearm fighting, handgun fighting, any of that stuff, the more I learn about it, the more I don't ever want to have to use it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You think you're going to get to this place where like you're a black belt and now you can stop everything. No, there's always something that can happen you're not prepared for.
And there's usually always somebody out there that's better than you,
Yeah,
and you don't know who that is.
yeah. I mean, using jujitsu as an example, in this scenario, you're fighting one dude, right? So maybe your jujitsu is good enough to subdue this one dude. How many friends does he have?
Yeah.
Right? Should you have just walked away and left
No matter
before you
how
found out the answer to that?
no matter how badass you are, 4 dudes is still 4 dudes.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I just right. So you want to be emotionally fit. Um, use violence only if you have to, only if you really, really have to. And the scare, I'll foot stomp this. The scariest thing about it is not just the fight for your life; it's the legal battle after. I've been studying a lot about that for a couple of years now. So make sure you know what you're getting into before you get into it. But unfortunately, like in my case, when it happened to me, I learned about it all after, and now I can tell you, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Right? I mean, seriously.
Do you carry your firearm
I do.
regularly?
I do.
Conceal or open?
I'm a conceal guy.
I only do conceal as well.
Yep.
I think open makes you a target. I've had many people disagree with me and say that they think that it's more of a deterrent, but I disagree, because if you're say you're sitting at a restaurant having something to eat and somebody decides they want to come in and rob the place or shoot it up or whatever, they're not just going to walk in and start shooting. They're going to walk in and most likely kind of scope the place out,
Yeah.
look around. They're going to see you and that gun and be like, okay, I need to shoot that person first because he can stop me.
Right. Right. That's the argument for conceal for sure.
That's the way I see open carry. I mean, hey man, if you're a fucking quick draw and you've been training your whole life and you're a police officer and that's what you want to do you, boo.
Right.
But for me, concealed is the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. The only reason, playing devil's advocate here, I could say a lot of things, but the one thing that I will say for open carry is that I mean, obviously, if you're like out on a ranch or something, you need to shoot a rattlesnake or whatever. Okay, you're going to open carry. You're out in the country. But
Yeah,
for a civilian in the city that I am, I'm not a cop. I'm not a country boy. Um, I would say I'm going to conceal carry. The only reason someone might argue for open carry, and I got to research this, but a very reliable law enforcement officer friend of mine just very recently told me that constitutional carry, which is what we have in Oklahoma, is actually technically only good for open carry.
mm-hmm.
Although people are using it to conceal carry and no one's getting slapped on the wrist for it. If you wanted to follow the letter of the law and mitigate all risk of law enforcement having an issue with you, he said open carry is technically, that's all that's allowed by constitutional carry. If you want to conceal, you got to get your SDA.
Conceal and carry license.
Yeah, your Oklahoma conceal carry. It's called the SDA license. So, but
is that one of the things you're training to teach?
I'm gonna take a poll to see if anyone would take conceal carry classes. You would?
I would.
Okay, I've got to go take a $400 class down in Texas to get certified, and then if I can find 10 people that want their license, I would do it. I'll put you,
ladies and gentlemen, there's 44 of you that are subscribing to me right now. I need 10 of you, 9, including me, to sign up.
Yeah. And so since we're talking about it, you don't technically need it. You can get away with not having it and carry in Oklahoma, right?
But it is best to have a conceal and carry permit if you are going to conceal and carry, even though it is constitutional carry.
Yeah. And I would say for that reason, there's 2 more reasons I'll throw in there just real quick, because I know you don't want to make your podcast about this entirely. But also, if you're going to buy a weapon, you have to do what's called a NITS background check. Mm-hmm. If you already have your concealed carry license, you just show them that. You skip the entire long questionnaire.
Oh, that computer questionnaire
waiting
that you
for
fill
the
out?
15 minutes to go to the federal database, all that. You show a concealed carry license, you pick up your firearm, you're done. It's all over. So that's cool. And then the other thing is traveling to other states. I never have to work for 37 states, honor my SDA license. They also may honor constitutional carry from Oklahoma. They may not. But for me, I mitigate all of that by going, yeah, I get pulled over in Colorado. Hey, man, here's my SDA. It helps them know what's going down. They don't have to look anything up. It helps everybody's. So I like that. You could maybe dance around it if you wanted to, but for me, I'm going to keep renewing my SDA.
Now, I have personally run into this situation. I've got anytime I travel across the country and I'm driving, I'm always armed. I will not travel across the country without a weapon, specifically a gun. Um, Most recently, this past March, so almost a year ago, we were in Florida and we drove from Florida back here. And passing through Mississippi, I got pulled over. And I had multiple firearms with me. Luckily, the cop, which he had every right to arrest me and take me to jail for carrying firearms across state lines, which is illegal in most places unless you have a license.
Right.
Luckily, through having a conversation with this police officer, he ended up letting me go. I had some marijuana on me at the time, which he just made me. In Mississippi, it is not legal.
Ouch.
Luckily, he just made me dump it out and stomp on it and sent me on my way, which was fantastic because I very well could have gone to jail in the middle of the night in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And it would have sucked balls. But carrying a weapon across state lines is legally dangerous. Just FYI, because I've dealt with it. That cop, like I said, very well could have taken me to jail that night on the guns alone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And the thing that I'm starting to study is, or starting to realize as I'm studying, is the laws change a lot. So for me, having that license, I don't have to keep up with everything. Does Texas still honor Oklahoma's concealed carry? Does Arkansas? I know they honor this. That's way easier. So, yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, watch out for legally. Check yourself. So,
but I would take the class.
Okay, cool, man. I might do it then, because I wanted. That's one of the reasons I got into becoming a pistol instructor, because I wanted to teach concealed carry. And now I'm hearing some whispers that, well, it's constitutional carry. Nobody's going to want that class. Really?
No, they will.
Okay. So
they will. A buddy of mine that actually helped me set all this up, Skyler, he's very into following the letter of the law. He's a conceal and carry carrier. He has his license. He actually carries pepper spray on him regularly because he used the same example as you, like proportionate response. He's like, I'm going to try with this pepper spray first, and if you still continue, then I might pull out my gun.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to de-escalate the situation in every non-lethal way possible.
Right.
Before
100%,
I pull out that weapon.
100%. 100%. A little pro tip there: in Oklahoma, pepper spray can get tricky. So it's going to be windy usually when you're using pepper spray in Oklahoma. So make sure
you're not downwind.
Yeah, make sure you're on the right side of that.
Pepper spray sucks.
Yeah, you
ever been sprayed with it?
No, I want to be, so I can see what it's like. But
let's do it, you and me.
Okay,
let's do it.
Okay,
we'll do one. I'll do a video on your outdoor.
Okay, I've got some cans we can use that are about to be expired. We'll use those.
You'll spray me, and I'll spray you.
Okay,
not at the same time, but
But yeah, so they make a gel, which doesn't come out like a mist. It comes out like a stream, like a silly string.
Yeah, but you got to be pretty accurate.
Well, the whole reason I would say to use that is if it's windy, the gel's not going to come back at you, but the spray would.
Makes sense.
That might be a reason to buy the gel.
Makes sense.
Yep.
But at the same time, I think you would have to be much more accurate. And a lot of the times, those are high stress situations.
Sure.
Which, a lot of people lose their shit in high stress situations.
Agreed.
Which leads back to training.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
The more you train, the better you are in stressful situations.
Yep. So on that, I didn't think I would be plugging myself so much in this podcast, but I want to say I just became a certified pistol instructor. It feels weird. I don't know why it feels weird, but since you mentioned it, I'm really excited about teaching people pistol classes. I've been doing it for a year. I just got certified, getting insurance. I'm like all legit now. It's not just 10 of my friends getting together anymore. So, man, there's a lot of things we can train if you're into firearms. It's something I'm going to be spending a lot of time coaching this year. And I would tell you, you're not going to find a better price. Pistol training is expensive. Mine is not. So, yeah, if you can look me up however you want to look me up through the YouTube channel or whatever.
Is your email on there that people can get a hold of you possibly?
Yeah.
Do you want to give your email out?
I'm trying to figure out what the
Maybe
best way to contact me would be. Send me, almost everybody has Facebook. I
most
would think.
everybody. Yeah.
So Brandon Raley on Facebook, you can find me. Send me a message. If you,
Spell your last name for him.
Brandon, last name's Raley.
I don't know why I asked you to spell it on the YouTube channel. It'll say podcast number 2, Brandon Raley.
Yeah,
So
no, you're good. So if you're into that kind of thing, shoot me a message and I'll send you some classes I'm going to put together this year.
if you have a moment, you can hang out afterwards and show me how to tag you on the
Sure.
podcast, how people can just click a link and
Okay.
maybe send them right to you
Okay. Heck yeah.
if you have time.
Yeah, dude.
So
Yeah, man. What else you want to talk about?
let's end on something that's near and dear to your heart, sir.
Okay.
I usually always ask you about this when we do have conversations. I don't know if you remember, but usually I ask you, how's your faith doing?
Okay. So good question.
Because I know one of our conversations, you were quick background. Brandon is a very religious man. I am not. And for a little while there, you were struggling with your faith.
Yep.
And the belief behind what you had known for a long time. You were struggling to, what's the best way to put this? You didn't know if you wanted to continue on that same path.
Yeah.
So how are you doing with your faith?
Good question, man. So I'm gonna interpret that question a little bit and tell me if I'm off base. So when I hear people ask that question, how's your faith? They're typically asking very specifically, do you still believe in Jesus Christ? Are you still Christian or something like that? Is that what you're leading?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, cool. So on that, I will tell you that it's not what it used to be. My faith in the Bible, the Word of God, the story of Jesus is not as diehard as it used to be. In fact, when I went through my 13-step program to quit drinking 3 years ago with the Christian group I was meeting with, I found somebody that was a lot like me and that I could have really good conversations with.
That they were struggling with their faith as well. Is that what you mean?
No, he was my what you would call a sponsor in AA. He was my mentor, and he's like, man, hit me with whatever questions you got, because it was a faith-based recovery system. So I was like, okay, if this is how this works, then I got to ask you about these doubts I have. And as we went back and forth, this guy, I really enjoyed meeting with him, but I ended up asking him ultimately one or two very simple questions that he couldn't answer, that he wouldn't answer, that he told me, you're thinking about it too much. Sometimes you can't have answers to things. Just quit thinking about it. I didn't like that answer. And you mix in some bad experiences I've had with lead pastors at churches, and it was like the inside of me was struggling with, do I go with the data, with what the data is showing me, or do I try to hold on to this thing that people are telling me to believe? Right. And so this is kind of a long answer, but I think it's worth spending just a few minutes on.
Go ahead.
So I want to drive a point home here, because I've got Christian friends that are going to listen to this. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time they're hearing that my faith is not what it used to be. I got family that doesn't know that. And I got, friends that are not faith based, living their lives. And so this is going to be interesting for all of them, I think. If I told you, this is a logical question. If I told you Brandon stopped at the stop sign, and then I told you Brandon did not stop at the stop sign, can both of those things be true?
Is this kind of like the Schrodinger's cat thing?
No, this is just a very, very simple question.
Okay,
do
it again.
Very basic logic.
Do it again.
Okay. And this, there's no tricks to this question. I'm being as simple as I can be. Brandon stopped at the stop sign. Somebody else says Brandon did not stop at the stop sign. Can both of those people be telling the truth?
Yes.
They can.
I think so, because it's their perception.
Okay. Okay. Um, Good point. So then I need to ask that question differently. That's so. This is what I really need to be asking. Um, we're talking about the same stop sign, same time of day, same event, everything. Draw says Brandon stopped at the stop sign. Draw says Brandon did not stop at the stop sign. Can Draws be telling the truth in both of those statements? Can both of those statements be true?
No, because they negate the other.
Yeah, right. Right. And so
Sorry, I'm thinking about it logically.
no, you're
Like,
right. That's it. That's the answer, right? Both things can't be true at the same time. Draws either says Brandon stopped or Draws says he didn't stop at that stop sign. Both can't be true. I don't see any logical way around that. And when I ask my Christian friends questions about like that, they'll answer what you just answered. But if I ask them the same question about the Bible, they will say, "Well, you got to understand there's things that we don't know, and we don't really know what who he was, what the ways of God are mysterious, right? God works in mysterious ways.
you're talking about the old faith answer, have faith.
Right. There would be answers that would change just because I was asking about the Bible. But if I asked about normal life, they'd say, oh, no way. Like they use a very logical answer. And here I am asking basically the same question. I don't want to get people worked up, but trust me, it's a very similar question about things that are written in the New Testament in this case, and once in the Old Testament. And I'd say, okay, well, how can both of these things be true? Because it says this, he says this here, and then he says this in the very next paragraph. And there would be all this dancing around why those things could both be true instead of just saying, you're right, Brandon, that doesn't make sense. I don't get it. There was always a defense of, and so that really caused me to go, okay, somebody's drinking some Kool-Aid here.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm just ignorant and I don't see it, right? There's something I'm missing and I got to be honest about that. And so, in an effort to stay sober, finish the program, be respectful, all those things, and still be honest with myself, because I realized that was a huge thing to getting sober. You need to be honest with yourself. Don't start lying, telling yourself you believe something you don't believe. And that was a real tough sticking point for me because this is something I based my beliefs on for, God, 10 years at that point
Mm-hmm.
when I first quit drinking, or 9 years at that point. So it'd been a pretty good chunk of my life. And I had to start realizing that while I appreciate a lot of things in the Bible, I think a lot of things in the Bible are true. I do not believe it's infallible. I believe there are mistakes based on what I know. And I just have to be honest about that. So it makes it harder for me to have conversations with people and pursue my faith when I know I'm just going to get, well, this is definitely untrue, but over here it is true because it's written in the Bible. There is a way he stopped at that stop sign. And I'm not trying to bash on anyone.
Yeah.
At all. I hope I haven't disrespected anyone. I'm just trying to say that's where I'm at. My faith is not what it used to be. Um, all that said, I got to throw this in. Here's the kicker. If there is any religious beliefs that are true, I have found none other that are, if any of them are true, it's got to be the story of Christ. That has so much meaning in it and so much truth. And I found so many things in the Bible fascinate me that the writers knew what they knew. I cannot deny that. But I also, so if any of them are true, and I had to pick one, I would say it's that one. But I also at the same time can't tell you I know that's true. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't mean to be wishy washy, but that's my honest stance on faith right now.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't think I was going to get this deep into answering questions on the draws ball situation.
I know. That's what this is about, though. That's what I mean, though. Like, maybe one of the people that you were just talking about that are going to hear this, maybe they've been thinking the same thing the whole time. And now one of them might reach out to you, be like, hey, buddy, I was kind of thinking, let's talk this out. Like, I kind of along the same path as you, and let's explore this together, and maybe you two help each other out, or maybe just you and me conversating. Like many times in our conversations, you have said, "Oh, that's an interesting way to think about it. I've never really thought about it that way."
Yeah.
And that's the point of conversations.
Yeah.
I think That's something our leaders need to get back in tune with. You know what I mean? Let's not go into that.
Bro, yeah.
But just I think our leaders need to get back in tune with the conversation. But as far as the religion go, like I know I say I'm not a religious person, but there's got to be something more than us, man. There has got to be one. The world is too beautiful. Like, look at a sunset. Sunsets to me are one of the most beautiful, spectacular things. And whenever I was driving to Eugene, Oregon from Oklahoma to go to that Cameron Haynes race, I was driving west at sunset.
Uh-huh.
I now call this chasing the sunset.
Okay.
But if you drive west during sunset, you will have an hour and a half long sunset because you're driving in the same direction, right?
Right.
And it is the most beautiful thing that I've seen. And it's different every day. And I'm not saying that there is a God that makes the sunset different every day. But something created all this, whether that be God or the universe itself. I prefer to think of God as the universe. And I've been in situations in my life, specifically with my wife, where I was there that day that she fell into her coma,
Huh.
and I saved her life. There's things that could have happened differently that day where I would have walked into a dead body, but they didn't.
Right.
I was at my mom's house doing laundry, and I had one more load of laundry to dry, but something inside me was like, no, go home. You can come back later for that laundry. And I did. And I was here to save my wife's life. Now, I don't know if that was God. I don't know if that was divine intervention. I don't know if it was fate. I don't know what it was. But I was here to save my wife's life that day. And there's been many other situations, be it small or big. Because sometimes all you have to do to help somebody is smile at them. And what reminds me of that is I heard a story about somebody in San Francisco who walked to the Golden Gate Bridge and jumped off of it and committed suicide. And his uh, suicide note that he left said that I'm walking to the bridge. If just one person
Oh yeah.
smiles at me,
I heard this.
I won't do it.
Yep.
And he ended up taking his own life because everybody that he walked by paid absolutely no attention to him. And if just one person would have looked him in the eyes and said, good morning, and smiled,
Yep.
maybe he would still be here.
Right.
I don't know if that story is true, but the point behind it is true.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. The story I heard, a guy actually did that and then lived through the suicide attempt and then came back and told the story.
Maybe it's the same story that I'm
Yeah.
thinking of, and it wasn't a suicide note. It was maybe it's the same story, but
Yeah,
you
but
know.
you need that human connection, man. If you don't have that.
But I mean, that's where like God is in all of us, man. We all have the power to create. We all have the power to destroy.
Oh yeah, what's that? What's that? Is it 13 Hours? When the troops are stuck in Benghazi, the movie about is it called 13 Hours?
It's called 13 Hours.
Man, I'll never forget how deep a quote in that movie just ran right through me. He said, he's reading a book in the movie, and he says, "I've seen this quote, and I just can't quit thinking about it." And it says, "It's all the gods are inside of you, all the heavens and all the hells." Something like that. And I was like, dude, that's how I feel. That makes no sense, but yet it makes total sense to me. Something about that feels so. I agree. Yeah, God is in us. I mean, or how's Neil deGrasse Tyson? He says we're all made out of
Stardust.
stardust. Yeah. So he's like, it's not The fascinating thing is not that you live in the universe. The fascinating thing is that the universe lives inside of you.
Wow.
Same thing you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty incredible. It's either just a one in a trillion lucky thing, or there's some creator. I tend to lean towards all the. If I had to put my money on it, there seems to be a creator.
I absolutely, and I don't think that we will ever completely understand it until after we leave this life. Like I definitely do not think that when you die, that is it.
Yeah, I have no opinion on the matter. I don't know.
Um, I've thought about it a lot because I spend a lot of time thinking,
Yeah.
especially when I'm running. Um, I look forward to death in the aspect of starting a new journey.
Oh yeah.
Um, I don't think that whenever you die that there is nothing. There's too much complexity to you, Brandon, as a person for that to happen. Like you are at your core, your energy, whether that energy gets dispersed through the universe and you're conscious of it or whatnot. But I don't think that your meat suit dies. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
We throw that in the ground and it becomes one with the earth again. You know, but
Right.
your spirit and your personality and your soul, there's just we don't understand enough. Maybe it's the mushrooms that I've done in the past that make me think this way, but there's got to be more. There's got to be. I just don't think we will ever completely understand it
Yeah,
until
I don't think we
that
will.
time comes.
Yeah. Playing devil's advocate here, I think one of the cool things that atheists have going for them is they think this is all there is. So they're going to live this life to the fullest. And I know people like that. And there's something to admire about that too. Like they're not. So what you said, I admire, but I admire people that are like, no, this is all there is. This is the gift. This is all I've got, whatever it is. And they go out balls to the wall and they live this life. They're not waiting for anything after. They assume once the game's over. So I admire that as well. For me, I love talking about this stuff. I love hearing your opinion, other people's opinions. I love being in a place. You're one of the few people where you can talk about something like this, and it doesn't turn into a tense environment.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I would say, they would frown upon me for saying what I just said. I haven't even scratched the surface on my beliefs right now, and I've already offended probably a lot of people. But it's cool to be in a place where you can talk about these things. And ultimately, for me, this is going to sound weird, but it gives me peace. The answer to a lot of things is I don't know. And I think as humans, we want to know, and so we go with what we think is the most accurate. But I can make guesses, but I think for me, the thing that gives me the most peace, I don't know, and I'm okay with that. So
I love that, man. That's beautiful, dude.
thanks, brother. That's taken me a long time to get to. Because there's the wrestling, right? Is it this or is it this or is it that? And there was so much. You know what? Since I quit drinking, you know what I realized? I don't know.
You don't have it all figured out.
It's okay.
No one does, man.
It's okay. And it's life short. It's going to go by quick. Do what you can with what you got, and try to make the best of it. But none of us have all the answers, dude. None of us, or at least I don't. If you interview somebody that does, let me know. But I don't have all the answers.
That's beautiful, dude.
Thanks, brother.
I think it takes a lot to just simply say that.
I'm learning that's true.
Admit
People
that
are
you don't know.
There's one of the most fascinating things in the world to me is the inability of people to say, I don't know. We almost always want to interject our opinion, our belief, what we think we know, what we heard somebody else say. God, I see a lot of that. I see a lot of unoriginal thought nowadays. A lot of people just regurgitating what they've heard. So yeah, I'll be in meetings with smart people, engineers, and you'll see a resistance by the top engineers and the low level engineers to say, I don't know. They always want to insert something other than the absolute truth, which is, I don't know. And for me, if you want to earn my respect in an engineering meeting or any meeting, start off with, I don't know, but here's what I do know. But you start with, I don't know, bro. You got my attention.
We got a lot to talk about.
This guy's super honest. I like this guy right here, right? Now, most people might not respond to that the way I do, but I really admire when somebody can say, I don't know, because I relate with that so much.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so many things I want to know, and I just don't know. I mean, we all wrestle with stuff, right? Relationships. I didn't know that story about you leaving laundry and coming home to find Rachel in a coma.
There's much more to that story.
Yeah.
That's just that hour and a half window.
Yeah.
When it happened.
But
there's more that led up to that actual being there that night.
So, yeah. There's a 2-hour podcast talking about that right there. And in the end,
it's in the book.
Oh, you write in the book?
Oh yeah.
And in the end, you probably don't know what caused you to do that, right? You just know that it happened. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's a very long chapter in my book, which my book is called Road Construction Ahead.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is a sign that I have in my garage that my wife stole off the side of the road somewhere a long time ago. And
I was party days.
I don't remember. I don't even know how she got it. You'd have to ask her. But it's hung in our garage ever since we've lived here. And I was in the garage working out, and I was in the middle of writing, and I hadn't come up with a name for my book. And I looked up while working out. I was like, Road Construction Ahead. I was like, that sums up the things I talk about in my book to a T, because that is life.
Oh yeah.
That is life.
Yeah, dude.
There's always going to be road construction, just like I-35.
Yeah. What do they say? Be like I-35. No matter how much it inconveniences other people, keep working on yourself.
Exactly.
Right?
Road construction ahead, man.
Yeah, cool.
But that's why I called my book that, because I mean
When's your book release?
Oh man, I'm still writing it right now.
Okay,
bro.
you're still writing.
Yeah, okay. I've only got about 35 pages written and just under 20,000 words. Like, my goal is to write 100,000 words before I print it and then break it down into the book that I want it to be.
Okay.
So I got about 80,000 words left to do.
Man, that's cool.
That's before I start editing it.
That's awesome, dude. But I mean, you're doing it. You're doing it.
Yeah. It's another one of those goals, man. Like I said, I've got a few. But...
Cool, man.
All right, man. I think we are just over 2 hours now. This is the longest podcast I've done.
Yeah, it is.
2 hours and 2 minutes and 35 seconds.
Okay.
But I think this is a good place to stop, man.
I do too.
It's a beautiful conversation. I thoroughly enjoy talking with you.
Yeah,
and
brother.
I guarantee you we'll do this again.
Love to.
Do you want to plug your YouTube channel one more time?
Oh yeah. I mean, I already plugged it a ton, but
that's why I said it.
Yeah, cool. So Go Play Outside on YouTube. If you want to find my specific channel, it's go to YouTube in the search bar and put Go Play Outside 47. That should take you to a channel called Go Play Outside. And there's a picture of my dumb face in front of a mountain in Alaska. So check that out. And then if you want to get a hold of me for pistol training or mental health stuff or anything that you heard on this podcast, and you want to get a hold of me, find me on Facebook, Brandon Raley, and send me a message and I'll write you back.
As we get closer to that time happening of you getting that license and teaching people, we'll do another one of these, I guarantee.
Okay, we can do that. I could talk about that for 2 hours easy. There's so much stuff people don't know about training,
I guarantee we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, you have a good day. Try to do something hard today. Make life a little bit easier.
There you go.
Have a good day, everybody.
See you guys.